game begs for one more, that Jimmy and Zach Levine were going back and forth, but there would be one more player who would decide it. Did you have an inkling that Goran would be that player? And how significant was it that Goran was that player?
No, I don't think any of us necessarily knew based on the first three quarters that we would just totally jump out of the box like that. But look, he's an all-star. He's a world champion. He has a savviness and a competitiveness that, when he senses his team really needs something, that he can tap into, all of his talent and previous experiences to be able to make big time plays like that. We saw that in the playoffs, last year, and we needed it. This game was in the mud, and back to backs, they are what they are. Both teams had to deal with it, but with the additional testing, it's just. It can be crazy. You get in at 4:00 and you're up at 9 testing. It's not easy, and this was a game you just had to stay the course, have some mental toughness, and you guys had to make some plays. And Goran was just sensational, obviously, in that fourth quarter.
And all of that said, to get to that fourth quarter and be up by 2, with Jimmy doing what he did through the first 3 quarters, how important was that he kept you guys there to make that closing charge?
Well, he's an ultra competitor, and he sensed the moment as well, that this was going to be that kind of game. It was going to feel like it was in the mud. And he was really good in that third quarter, both ends of the court. You felt his presence, on Levine, but on any weak side situation, he was really active, and then making, a ton of plays for us on the offensive end.
And then the other guy, Duncan Robinson, you always talk about just keep shooting the ball. And obviously those late threes that he got that helped create some separation after his uneven game against Orlando. Just by now, is it just drilled in, no matter what happened on the previous one, you've got to keep taking those for us? Thank you.
He's way past that. I love the fact that he got 12 3-point attempts up, against Orlando. When we first got him, he probably would have stopped after 4 or 5, and that's why you have to keep on working the game and playing to your strengths, and that is his strengths. His strength zone, is one of the best shooters in this game. And those relief threes, he makes it look easy. One of them was from 28 feet. But they're relief points for us, and they really help, add some diversity to our offense.
Next, we have Anthony Chang.
Thanks, Bo. KZ yesterday was limited by foul trouble. Tonight he was able to play 25 minutes. It seemed like he guarded pretty much every player on the court. When he's engaged, what impact can he make defensively, just with his ability, to pretty much switch almost?
Yeah, he's big. He's bigger than he seems, and he moves his feet, really well. He still has to, learn the system, learn the league better, get more disciplined, in terms of not using his hands and staying down on shot fakes. But that'll come. But his physical gifts and tools, are impressive on that side of the floor, and it allows us to do some similar things that we do with Bam. It's not the same. Bam is world class, but it keeps our game somewhat, familiar.
And then Chris, second straight night to play extended minutes off the bench. What did you like about his minutes, especially there to start the fourth quarter?
His energy is absolutely contagious, and if you notice, he can play 3 or 4 straight minutes, and the average fan might say, why is he so gassed after that? And that would be because he's top percentile in terms of how hard he plays on every single possession. He's leaving nothing in the tank. And that in a game like this, where you need some energy and you need some life, he was able to provide that for us. In 2 straight games now, he's had 2 of the more impressive, memorable blocks of our, so far, for our team. And those are those kind of efforts and plays on the ball that he's capable of making.
Thank you.
Next, we have Kobe Price from the Sun Sentinel.
Hey, Spo, on a per possession basis, and I'm sure tonight will help this a lot. The team has had one of the best defensive in the league over the last 20 games. How much, we talked about this early in the season about the turnovers, how much has just simply flipping that turnover battle to the point where you guys are just winning it most of the nights helped that?
Well, that's a big part of it. We mentioned it before that it seemed like it would be a little bit counterintuitive. 3 months ago, we were talking about if we could just take care of the basketball better on the offensive side, our defense would probably be, 10 notches in the rankings better just from that alone. To get us out of transition, those hectic, numbered advantages against us. And it also just kind of settles us mentally to be able to get our defense set. But it's also something that we've had to just, significantly commit to. This is the identity of this team, this organization. It always will be. We have to be able to defend night in, night out against, a league that is extremely challenging. And we're continuing to try to build that trust and consistency.
And you spoke a little bit at the beginning about taking care of the ball better, but the other flip side of that is the forcing the turnovers. Is that, I guess, what do you contribute that to? Is the simple continuity of everybody kind of knows where they're supposed to be, maybe a few more traps here and there? What's really going on there?
It's all about activity for us and multiple efforts. It's not necessarily that we're trying to be, the top 3 in the league and forcing turnovers, but we also don't want to be passive. So there is a sweet spot for us, and it's more about our activity numbers that we chart, which have been better the last several weeks.
Appreciate it.
Next, we have Cooper Moorhead.
Spo, watching Goran tonight, and then even back in the bubble during some of those playoff games, Goran's dominating, but he's dominating in a little bit of a different way than he would have 4, 5, 6 years ago. What kind of work has he put in these last few years, especially since his knee injury a few years ago?
Yeah, he's become a world-class shooter. And a guy who can play off the ball. He still can make, all the plays that you need in pick and roll basketball. The difference, any player that plays a long time in this league, your game has to adapt or you don't adapt. Goran has put in a great deal of time in his skill development, over the last several years. When he first came in, the book on him was to go under, on screens and give him the outside perimeter shot, but do everything you have to do to not let him in the paint. And he was a whirling dervish, probably 4 or 5 coast-to-coast drives a game and endless energy with that. He'll still get you, 1 or 2 of those when the defense isn't set or expecting it. But he's looking at a game much more, like a chessboard, and trying to exploit different weaknesses of defenses. But his shooting has improved dramatically, obviously.
Thank you.
All right, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you.